Hello and welcome back to the Michigan Conservative Roundtable. I'm Mac. I'm here with TJ, Kim. Today we're going to talk about what do we do when checks and balances failed. They have clearly failed here in the state of Michigan. We have a governor who is apparently, by all accounts, a queen and can do as she pleases with no consequence. And on the national level, we just see the Supreme Court rule that for all, I'll break it down this way, that procuring elections without permission, or how else might we put it, Terry?
Less than honorable.
Less than honorable means is okay with the Supreme Court. They're fine with it. So we're going to get into that, and where do we go from here? I guess is kind of the point. And in Michigan, we have a governor who was told what she was doing was unconstitutional. She said, fine, I'll do it another way with another person who was also named in the same lawsuit, and were told what they were doing was unconstitutional. So when they get into it, at the end of the day, they've defied a court order, a Supreme Court order, and they're getting away with it. She was told she could not do any more lockdowns or restrictions without consulting and working with the legislature. She's not doing any of it. She's doing just what she wants. So she's a de facto queen. Any thoughts?
I at the risk of being labeled radical, I feel us slipping into a 1776 mentality.
Yeah.
I feel she's a dictator. She has become
my point is, okay, so what do we do about it?
Well,
that's the question of the day.
1776, anyone who has any idea how historically what occurred will know what that means.
One of the complaints was there was no redress.
And I guess I'm dancing around the whole YouTube censorship thing. Okay,
we have to parse our words. We have to be very careful what we say because they will hammer us down, possibly take our channel
off.
in
saying what I said, I'm trying to do the tango here.
Yeah. So, and I did say at one point we can just skip the Civil War and go right to the Revolution. But
1776.
1776, right? But what do we do? What do you physically do about it? Do you say that okay, if the court has no authority over her, they have no authority over me? Why can't I, as a private citizen, do whatever I want?
Essentially, that's what we're going to have to do.
I mean, do I now no longer see the police as an authority to me?
I'm going to backtrack a little bit to my statement of 1776. I have always liked to reference portions of the Declaration of Independence. And I trust, present company excluded, I would hope everyone has read it one time and more than one time. But in the Declaration of Independence, aside from the desires of the Founding Fathers, specific reasons were given in the Declaration of Independence. And you look at some of these specific reasons, they are so applicable to today.
Yes.
One of the reasons stated, you have sent swarms of officers hither against us to eat out our sustenance. And I know I'm going to get the thee and thou a little bit off, but the whole mindset, the whole premise of that one reason was, you have sent agents of the government against us. Okay?
Yeah.
That's in the Declaration of Independence.
And is that not happening now?
And I'm getting fired up talking about that.
It's happening now. Oh, you're going to have a mandatory vaccine. You're going to have to turn in your guns. You're going to have to bow down to certain ethnic groups and kiss their derrieres because they had their ancestors had great wrongs done to them. Go on and on and on. You're going to have to do these things. You're going to have to swear an oath to the king, essentially.
Another thing stated in the Declaration of Independence, and I'll get the exact verbiage wrong, so forgive me, but it says, we have petitioned our brethren in the Parliament. In other words, not only have they petitioned the king, the king, okay, or queen. Not only did they petition the king, but they petitioned their brethren in the Parliament, the legislature, okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you basically you have been deaf to us. So this is why I feel like
Well, it
I
seems like everyone is deaf to these complaints about this last presidential election.
Oh, and it did mention something about not protecting borders either in there too.
Yeah, right.
I forget the exact wording of that.
So we have that scenario.
Get a roll.
Right, yeah. We had that scenario going on with the open borders and whatnot. You kind of threw me off track there a little bit.
And what did she just recently say about opening the restaurants in the state?
Yeah.
She said if we thought that she would open the restaurants, that we could go to hell. I think that was the exact thing recently in her last press conference. What, we as citizens can go to hell?
Yeah.
I have a problem with her even talking about us like that.
Well, clearly we're not citizens. We're her subjects. And you know what? One of the things that happens on Facebook a lot is I see all these posts. And TJ and I have talked about this extensively, about these guys will say, why is she still breathing? Why haven't you taken care of her yet? And blah, blah, blah. Oh, they're all anxious for me to go out and murder someone and go to federal prison or prison for the rest of my life so they can feel warm and fuzzy about it. Don't go out there and tell other people to do things you aren't willing to do yourself, first off.
Well, here's my thing. Where is our Republican legislatures in this?
Sold us out.
Why aren't they doing anything?
They don't care.
You know, this is the other thing is they're supposed to be representing us, and they are not doing their jobs.
They haven't represented us
and
for a very long time.
It is time that some of them start standing up, and it is time that we start holding them responsible to do their jobs. And if not, we need to vote their butts out.
Well, here goes to my question about all of this, and we'll go to the national level now. If you can illegally procure an election, as they seem to have, and get away with it because the checks and balances have failed, how are you voting anyone out again? The elections are all going to be shams, just like this last one was. And I hope I haven't gone too far in my vocabulary here, and I may have, and you'll never know because you won't see this. But how are we ever going to vote anybody out again? If I can go in and vote and they can change my vote and get away with it, where does my complaint go? I am powerless. I must do everything they say or suffer the consequences.
I'm going to come back to your original premise or
question. We
question.
kind of wandered off here and discussed
checks and balances. There's been a complete breakdown, failure on the whole premise of checks and balance, going to the depth of the swamp. Because of the swamp, I mean, there are 1,000 guys. And honestly, the swamp is a whole lot worse than I would have guessed 4 years ago.
Yeah, I used to hear deep state and kind of slough that off.
I mean,
tinfoil hat talk, but I was wrong.
And you knew it was a swamp, but did you think that Rhino Republicans would collude with socialists? Would you? And I'm speaking in terms of 4 years ago. Okay, 4 years ago, would we have guessed that the esteemed highest court in the land would be pussies? Okay, yeah. I mean,
well, they want to take the high road. High road to hell.
As to where we go from here, I don't know if I have an answer for that. I think everyone's going to have to look inward and decide for themselves what next.
I'm thinking, though, that after reading some of this stuff, they're saying the wording was wrong in
Time's up, though.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Time's up.
They've run out the clock successfully, they being the opposing party. Mm-hmm. But, gee, it's sickening that you have to parse your words and stop and think about what you're saying. Thank you, the almighty ones out there.
Yeah, really, you knew the checks and balances had failed long ago. I just didn't put it all together. I didn't connect the dots, as some like to say. When you know which judge it's going to, how it's going to be ruled, if you see that in Michigan here that the judge was appointed by Jennifer Granholm, you know you lose. If it goes to someone appointed by, let's say, John Engler, you're probably going to win. And back and forth, same thing on a federal level. If it's an Obama judge, you're losing.
And judges are supposed to be nonpartisan. Right. What a joke!
Not that everything this guy says is holy writ, but I just this morning I read an article mentioning Dick Morris, Tricky Dicky. Boy, is that a guy I'd like to have a cup of coffee with.
Me too.
But Dick Morris believes that this latest decision of the Supreme Court, even they've given into the ways of the bully, that they may have done this as a last-ditch effort to save themselves. Going to the depth of the swamp. Going to the depth. Because the three judges that really kind of threw Trump under the bus were the three he nominated, Amy Coney Barrett, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh.
It's people proving they aren't what they're being accused of. And when you fall into that trap, you really become a slave. If you're not a racist, but you're so afraid of being called a racist that you just give in to people and take their bullying, then I guess we get what we deserve. And with that, I guess I'll close this topic up. We rambled quite a bit today, but
rambled and wandered.
Most people stopped watching about 8 minutes ago. So with that, we'll say,
be safe.
Be safe. Watch your six, and don't tread on me.